Welcome to She Chose Joy, where we discuss all things love, freedom, wellness, and joy. I'm your host, Melanie Foote-Davis, also known as the Soul Whisperer. Ever met someone who feels warm like your souls have met somewhere before? Well, that's how I experienced today's guest. I absolutely love her energy, and I love that she's kind enough to tell me the truth. She tends to find her way into my heart in the moments that matter most. I'm talking about Michelle Herndon, a prominent leader in her industry, and she's best known for her meaningful insights in mentorship and leadership. She's currently the Director of Culture and Community for Boca Group, where she's furthering diversity programs and services within the company, including creating and leading mentorship programs for people of color and within the LGBTQ plus community. She is known for her ability to bridge differences and create impactful connections. And additionally, she spends time with her professional lifestyle coaching for her currently growing project, The Soul Nest. So let's get into it. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Michelle Akins, executive coach and author, and I specialize in helping high-capacity leaders align their inner values with their outer goals. In my 6-week group coaching program, Clarity, you'll experience a supportive space for reflection, clarity, and growth. Through powerful questions, deep listening, and guided insight, you'll uncover what's next and gain the confidence and tools to pursue it with purpose. If you're ready for a shift, let's rewrite the script together. Go to michelleakins.com and click on the tab, Work with Michelle. Look forward to seeing you.
Well, hello there, my soul sister. Welcome to She Chose Joy.
Hey, Melanie, how's it going? So nice to see you.
It's so great to see you as well, as well. Um, I was thinking this morning or earlier today when I was preparing for this call and really feeling into the fact that I was going to get to see you today. I was feeling really warm fuzzies because I was reflecting back on when we first met and how we used to talk several times throughout the week. And we would talk about something and sometimes talk about nothing, but really enjoyed each other's company. And it was
Yeah.
just, it was so like both were okay. The deep conversations, the silliness. Remember, sometimes we used to even break out in song.
Oh my God. We could even start a phone conversation with a song just to keep it light. No, I love being able to be all those things with my friends. I think it's so important to be able to, be yourself and make space for other people to be themselves too. It's just it like takes the shoulders down. It's so calming.
Yeah. Like for me, one of the things I say sometimes is if Issa Rae is the awkward black girl, because remember she used to have that series
I sure do.
that I'm the corny black girl. And I am so okay with my corniness, right? I am so okay. Because there's more than one way to be a black woman. And I
Mm.
embrace part of me. And so our conversations were sometimes like quite corny, at least the part that I was bringing into the flow.
No, we love corny. You got to be. I was listening uh to a podcast today, and they were talking about taking themselves too seriously, and
Mhm.
when that happens, how important laughter and joy, which is obviously your wheelhouse, is so important. And it does remind me too that it's like, listen, Herndon, you gotta You gotta lighten up. Yeah,
Yeah,
take it easy.
I have to remind myself sometimes too, even though I do my best to be very intentional about it, there are times when Sean, my husband, for those who don't know, um, will say to me, where's my fun girl at? Where's my fun girl?
Yeah,
You know, and I appreciate that check-in. And there are days when fun girl and joy is not as accessible in that moment because it's important for me to be with the experience I'm having right there and give that emotion space to actually breathe and be felt, if you will.
yeah, yeah. I think, we were talking about earlier about allowing space for feelings to, like you say, breathe, um, and also process them so that we're not just managing those feelings.
Yeah.
Because I think managing is fine on the short term, but on the long term, I wholeheartedly feel that those things will continue to arise and come up in every any scenario that is necessary to show you, what we need to learn. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't believe in emotional bypasses or spiritual bypasses. I don't want to spiritual bypass it from my perspective is when we're like, instead of really facing it head on, we're like, oh, we're just gonna pray about it. Oh, we're
yeah,
just gonna leave it up to God.
yeah.
It's like, no, we have some moment in, like, we have a role to play in this co-creative process. And even with the emotional bypasses, like, that managing part that you just mentioned,
Hmm.
um, it may give us temporary relief, but it's a setup. And down the road, it's compounded and it turns into something, back in the day, they used to call it going postal, right? Like,
Right.
those are the things that lead. That person didn't just wake up and go postal. It was a series of events that led them there.
Yeah. Or a manifestation of an illness. I mean, it's a lot. And I think too that, I think there's a difference between being still and knowing and taking action. And I think the more that we, try to find that balance of when to be still, and I also think that being passive, like you say, let's just pray on it. There's a place for that. There's a time and a place for that, right? But also there's a moment that we have to take some kind of action, um, or
Mhm.
response versus reaction, if you will. So I know that's helped me in these last 5 years since the last time I saw you.
I don't, here's the thing though. The stillness, like knowing what action to take comes through the stillness, like being
Correct.
quiet enough to hear, right?
Yes.
And I don't necessarily consider that being passive. I consider that more of a place of surrender
Yes.
and
I
being
would agree.
becoming an open, yeah, becoming an open vessel where we're not trying to, well, I won't say we, let me own my part, where I'm not trying to force the solution to come,
Right.
um, force myself to have to know the answer right now, even though impatience shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times that I do want it now, but just even accepting when and noticing when that's there too. So, yeah,
Right. That divine timing, that
yeah.
that knowingness. And I do think that, what has served me well is the daily, mostly daily, time that I have in the morning to set the tone for the day. So those things can come to me, so I can clear the path, pave the way. I know I've talked about that before, and I still wholeheartedly believe in that, you can set the tone for your day in those first few moments of waking, how important that is, um, to allow intention and real, I wouldn't say positivity, but an optimistic optimism about how I want my day to go and how that follows through and trickles down into the day. You can see the difference when you talk to people, you know, or
Mhm.
even when someone's walking down the street. Perfect example of watching someone walk their dog. They're either in command of that beast, or that beast is pulling them along. And I like to think that that's sort of synonymous with our days. Our days are that dog. Do we have control over it, you know, in a way that feels good and positive and optimistic? Or is it just leading us and we're just following it wherever it's going? Tends to net some negative results if we're not
Yeah.
careful.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, are you walking the dog or is the dog walking you? Who's
Yeah.
the guide here, right?
Who's in
So wait a
charge?
minute. So yeah, are you saying that you don't wake up and you just start scrolling on the internet and you just start checking emails? Like you don't hit the alarm and then grab your phone and just get on TikTok, IG, LinkedIn, whatever your medium of choice is, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's because I'm so disciplined, but honestly, Melanie, I cannot, my brain just can't take in that much information that early. And so
Yeah.
it organically stops me. I just can't. And so even though I want to grab my phone to do, you know, a yoga nidra, some sort of meditation, I usually try to just go straight to that thing so that I can just plug into that energy. Versus, but I do love those first few moments of being still and just allowing myself to wake up. And they say, you know, that there's a small window between delta, which is sleep, the brain activity, and waking time. And that's a magical moment. And it's very fleeting, especially if you don't have the discipline of saying, okay, I am now aware that I'm awake. Now what?
Yeah.
Are we springing up to go run and do the thing? Or are we just taking a moment? And I'm not saying, you know, no one needs to spend a whole hour luxuriating in meditation and gratitude, but I think it's really powerful to notice that and be conscious of it and then take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I know there's definitely a difference, and I have, to be honest, I have gotten out of my routine. There's been a disruption in a pattern, and so
Hmm.
now it's me being intentional about bringing that back in.
Right.
I know that the way I lead my day and the way that I make sure that I am choosing me throughout the day and what's most important really does make a difference with if I start my sacred mornings a certain way, or if I just get up and get going. Um,
Yeah.
because one thing about me is even if I'm not doing my morning ritual, when I hit the alarm, I am not one of those people that jumps out of the bed. I don't even
No.
want my alarm itself, the sound to be startling. I want to
Yeah.
ease into my day. So like birds
Yeah.
chirping or some soft tone. So like I'm curious, what is your morning like? Even if you don't like maybe sharing what it's like on the mornings when you do luxuriate for an hour and on the times when you just give yourself some moments of ease.
Yeah. Well, I'm typically an early riser, which I'm honestly don't know exactly what that means. I'm not a 5 o'clock in the morning person, but I can be awake anytime between 6 and 7. And that's usually plenty of time. I find that having at least an hour to fully wake up, have my gratitude, you know, plug into a yoga nidra where I'm just
Mhm.
aligning myself with the day. I do have a practice that I like to, and I think we talked about this before about sending energy ahead into my day, sending love ahead into my day. And it usually goes, you know, I'll say something very simple like, I'm sending love ahead into my day to meet me where I need it the most. And also for the people that I interface with too, so that there's collaboration throughout the day with the people that, even the people I don't know that I'm going to meet. If I'm traveling, I usually try to send that out to everyone from the ticket agent to the person I leave my and baggage, to everyone through security, just those little things that sort of, and it's a beautiful thing. And I love going out into the world and then testing it and forgetting about it too. Like I don't then say, oh, I'm going to go out into the world and see what kind of miracles unfold. But just that little sort of gem that I just put out there. I feel like it's being prepared. It's like there's nothing like a day where you're prepared, where you have, like, I don't know, whether your thing is you like to know what you're having for lunch, whether ironing your clothes the night before and having them hanging there waiting for you to slip on. Just being ahead of things in a way that just feels good, so that the day just moves along smoothly. That paving has served me very well, and it helps so much, to the point that once I do that ritual, and it's a practice, it's not something that I say to myself, oh, I have to have this discipline. It's more of, I want to do this. This is folded into my natural organic patterns. Um, and then I take a moment to set the harmonics of my home, whether that's lighting incense, um, getting my supplements ready to take, preparing my coffee, and maybe having a moment like today. I definitely luxuriated. I got to sit outside. I did some breathing exercises. And listen, guys, this is not a huge thing. This is 10 minutes of breathing exercises and maybe another 10 minutes of a guided meditation. And a little bit of journal writing. Like, I like to sprinkle in a little bit of everything if I can. And if there's not as much time, I'm not a fan of waking up and then just getting up and getting dressed and out the door. So that's not typically my MO. So that's not going to happen very often, unless I just have somewhere to go very quickly. But I still take those moments. It's micro, then it's tiny steps. Maybe it's not as drawn out, but I try to subconsciously make sure those things are in place, or at least I'm thinking about it as I'm sort of rushing or hurrying to, some sort of god awful early appointment that I couldn't avoid. So that's a long-winded version of
You
answering your question.
No, it was helpful though, because like I'm a huge advocate and fan of micro moments. And um I don't necessarily do as well preparing um ahead as not consistently. I'll say that. I won't say I'm not
Mhm.
great at it. Um or that I haven't done it. However, I do notice that there's a difference when I do, you know, prep and pave and prepare for what's to come. And it actually helps the next moment, like to approach whatever
Yeah.
is unexpected. It
Yeah.
helps to like be grounded and having my feet firmly planted on the ground before I'm faced with whatever challenges that I have
Yeah.
no control of coming. And it just made me, I just had a silent chuckle, right? Because thinking about you preparing, you probably know what I'm going to bring up. I
Uh-huh.
remember the day when you when you said that you love to hear like the hum of the dishwasher at night.
Oh, I think about that all the time, Melanie. How much you love that.
Why that? Because it I know what well, you can share what it represents for you, but I never not but and I never thought of it that way, but it just tickled me every time I think of you getting excited about the hum of the dishwasher.
Well, I think it signifies for me that the tasks are done, right? So just as I wake myself up, I wake my house up. And just as I take myself to sleep, I
Mm-hmm.
put my house to sleep, you know? And so I have a nightly ritual, if I'm in the living room, which I 99% am at night, cooking dinner, watching television, what have you, I'll get up and fold the blankets, make the pillows nice, reset, good night to the house, turn all the lights off, turn the candles out. It's like a hotel. I guess because I'm in hospitality, it's like the turn down service of my house. Um, and if I am, running the dishwasher that particular night, that's the last thing, right? You turn it on, dishwasher's going, turn all the lights off, all is well. It's time to go to bed, shut it down. So I think, and I think, the thing that I would like to spend more time doing is the end of my day, sort of taking inventory of my day and saying, wow, what a great day it was. And sometimes I even speak my day out loud and think, and sort of relish in that and say, good job, well done. You started your day off well. That meeting went really well that you were working on. Then you did this thing and that thing. Like I literally out loud talk it out loud. And then I sort of give thanks to that. And I think I would like to do that more. And then setting the tone for sleep and having, sleep hygiene. I know a lot of people are struggling with sleep and rest, real restorative rest.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of things happen better when we can get the rest that we need. So just taking those small moments, it doesn't, I'm not saying anyone needs to adopt or adapt to a whole new life, but just those little micro tweaks, I think are really, really helpful. And that hum of a dishwasher, a dryer, just those like domestic things that are going on that sort of subliminally remind you like, I'm taken care of. My dishes are being washed. I have clean clothes. Just those home sounds that they're just comforting to me for some reason. Call me crazy.
I love that, right? I love that. Like, I love that. Like, just like I wake myself up, I wake my home up. And just like I put myself to, like, prepare for my rest, I also put my home to sleep. I love that. Um, and I know that we've talked about that before, but for some reason, it landed a little different today.
I agree. I agree. I think as I share these personal rituals, I realize that's exactly what I'm doing. As you're preparing to put a baby down or yourself down, just to be good to yourself and be good to, you know, we've talked at length before about the nest that we all live in, our soul nest, and giving back to the space that gives you so much comfort. Because for most of us, our homes is the place that we can be our full raw selves, where we're processing not just the day, but sometimes our life and really personal things. And this space for me is a constant reminder that no matter what's going on out there in the world, right, that all is well here. I can control the vibrations and the harmonics that are going on, right inside my own home. And then I hope I can take that to go. I hope I can take it outside, um, and affect the world with that energy as well.
Yeah, I think, well, not even I think, I know that that's a part of what our connection is too, is like I have an appreciation for you being an energy snob. Like I have so much appreciation around that because energy does matter. And so making sure that, how did you say it? Vibrational harmonics, right? I
Yeah, the
I just have so
harmonics.
much appreciation for it because I really am not about, like, I've done the hustle and grind when I was younger and it burned me out and
Hmm.
I didn't like the experience that it created. And so I am not interested at that, in that now. And so yeah, the energy does matter, like where we are in our environment. Um And I really appreciate, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up, right? The soul nesting term I got from you, and I even have it, of course it's not gonna pull up now, right? Sometimes when I do mantras, right? Um, that's one of the things that I speak life into. And here it is. This is one of the mantras I have when I'm doing my when I'm writing in my manifestation journal. My home,
Yeah.
and it's all inspired by you, the
Oh,
Queen of soul nesting, right? And it says, my home is my soul nest. I have the means to create a home that nurtures my body, nourishes my soul, stimulates my mind, energizes my creative flow, grounds me in my spirit, feels warm, inviting, loving, peaceful, and is a place for rest and restoration. My soul nest is my sanctuary.
oh,
And so that
love
prompt
that.
that goes into my manifestation journal was inspired and influenced by you. And so,
Oh, thank
mm,
you. That's awesome.
warm fuzzies, sprinkles of joy.
I love that. And I think that's the thing that I want to, whenever if I'm smudging or just, trying to put, continue to replenish the energy in the house, I always pray that, anyone that crosses the threshold of this home too feels that energy,
Mm,
and feels cared for, nurtured, that they can relax, that this is a place of true peace. Um, because again, there's just too much going on out there in the world, and in our heads too, I feel like. But I swear my home always comes through for me every single time because I literally have conversations with my home. If I am, and again, I don't realize this until we're talking about it, but if I go on vacation or I leave town and I'm getting ready to leave and I'm just about to close the door and I just say, bye house, bye home, I'll be back, you know.
mm,
And then when I come back, I'm like, I'm home. I'm so I missed you. It's almost, there's an entity here.
mm.
Um, and I feel it, this energy of this home is my companion, for lack of a better. And we take care of each other.
So much appreciation for that, because what you appreciate appreciates. And so you love your home
Yes.
and your home is loving you back. And I just want to circle back, if you don't mind, to even
Yeah.
having so you're having conversations with your home and having conversations with yourself. And I just want to, again, what you appreciate. So you appreciate your home, and so your home appreciates you back and it treats you well, right? Um, and you having conversations with yourself aloud, which is really beautiful, because we're having an inner conversation with ourselves all the time, and there's also external dialogue that we've downloaded over, throughout our lifetime, that has
Hmm.
influence on us. And so the fact that you are very intentional about having a conversation with you about you and exploring your day and being very intentional about that, I I really have so much appreciation for that. So more sprinkles of joy. Thank
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
you.
So, is there, I mean, I think it's because I'm looking for the celebration in
Mm-hmm.
something very simple, which is the day was uneventful. Nothing crazy happened.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing even extraordinarily great happened either. It's just for me, it's more about I had a great day and I want to kind of take that into the next day. And I know every day is not going to be great, but that's just it. You have really bad days to then be able to appreciate, because there's no way I would have been able to have that conversation with myself and celebrate that without
Yeah.
having something to the contrast of that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that kind of goes into the theme of, and I don't know if we talked about this, Melanie. I got a tattoo last year, my
Ooh.
very first tattoo. And my favorite flower, and I knew that getting a tattoo was going to be very monumental for me, my first one. And I wanted it to be something really meaningful. So I waited a long time and a lot of years to be inspired and not just sort of motivated to just get one because everyone else has one or whatever the status quo is. And I decided on, and I heard it said today in a podcast I was listening to, so I thought I'd bring it up. But Thich
Okay.
Nhat Hanh, uh, the Vietnamese monk, Buddhist monk, used to say, "No, no mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus." And what he meant by that
Mm.
is that you cannot have beauty without going through something painful, and much like the lotus, which grows in mud, is the most beautiful thing. And even though it grows in mud, once it comes out, which I know you can't see it on camera, but it's on here, the phrase with a lotus. Um,
Aw.
the lotus somehow miraculously has no mud on it, even though it comes out of the mud
I
on
never
its
knew that
petals.
about a lotus. I think they're very pretty, but I never knew that they grew in
They
mud
grow in
or
mud.
grew.
They grow in the muck and the mire and come out, this
Just like
beautiful thing. And so, yeah,
just
I
like
felt like
us.
that was
We
a mantra of
grew
my
in mud.
life.
Huh. Well, congratulations on your first tattoo.
Thank you. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
And and for being so thoughtful about it. Like that intentionality is something that's just a running theme for you and the way you show up in the world. Yeah, and I just can't help think about like growing through the mud, through the muck. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. We grow
Yeah.
through the mud. The
Yeah. And so that's there to
and
sort of
then
remind me, on the inner part of my right arm that, yeah, this right here.
how did you choose where to put it? Like, I don't have a desire to have a tattoo. Maybe that'll change
Yeah.
at some point in my life. I don't know, but yeah, like how did you determine to decide to put it there? Because the inside of your arm, um, like that's very delicate place, like especially when in the area where it bends. And if I saw it the way that I thought I did, it kind of crosses over into like that inner, I don't know
It
what you call that part
doesn't.
of your arm.
It actually doesn't.
It
It's
doesn't.
between my
Okay.
wrist and my
Okay.
elbow. So it's that long part of my arm.
Okay. Okay.
And why? Because it's not for public consumption necessarily. So that's why it's not on the outer part of my arm. It's on the inner part of my
Yeah.
arm because it's for me. So I can just look at it and go, oh, that's right. Now if someone catches it, that's
Mhm.
one thing. It's also a fine line tattoo. So if I had to find a fine line tattoo artist, someone that does very delicate,
Mhm.
detailed design, because that's the energy I wanted. If I'm going to mark my skin for life, I want it to be something that is aesthetically pleasing to me. And she did a great job, and I love the conversations we had while we were doing this, and the collaboration of creating it. So yeah, I picked that space because it's a space I can access very easily every day, and I can see it. Um, and it's just a great reminder for me, of my path, my journey. Because I do forget
Mm.
a lot.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Yeah. A tattoo. Go figure.
I can't wait to see what's next.
I'm even gonna go circle back to something we were talking about earlier too about sending love into the day. And I
Mhm.
remember one day that was the text that you sent me. It was a few months ago. And I was like, how sweet is this? Where you said, I'm sending love to meet you where you need it most today. And um and that's still like even as I reflect back on receiving that text, it still is like vibrating in many ways through my being.
That's awesome.
And just thinking about the beauty of that, as like you said, you're not necessarily going out looking for the miracles to happen, but it just reminds me of even an experience I had last week where I just felt this inkling to run out and run to the store. I hadn't planned to be long, but just it just hit me suddenly. And I walked in, and within a few moments was having like this really meaningful conversation and just a few with a woman that I randomly met. And
I
then
love that.
to the point where we exchanged information,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Oh, I need to talk to um,
Mm-hmm.
talk to you." And it started with me complimenting her on something she was wearing, and it went from there. And then I went, and I don't even usually go to, like, I have a system of when I go to that particular store on what my
Yeah,
path is. I didn't go the usual path for some
of
reason.
course not. That's why.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and then I ended up in near the back of the store and ended up in another random, but not so random conversation, right, with another woman. And we must have stood in there and talked for about 15 or 20 minutes to find out that we even knew. So we used to work at the same place. We knew some
Oh,
of the same
wow.
people, all of these different things. And there was no desire to exchange information with that conversation. However, we ended up embracing in this most beautiful hug.
I love that. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And then I
There's
came.
nothing else attached to it but just that moment. I love that.
And it was like it was one of those things. It was good for me. I don't know what it was for them. But when I came back home, I was telling my husband about it. I'm like, I guess I was supposed to go there today. Like
Yeah.
I just to have those momentary exchanges with women I just met.
I love when, I always talk about following the energy, and I love when you're able to recognize that something is literally happening for a reason, and not doesn't necessarily have to be this long drawn out explanation, but just a moment. And when things are meant to be, there is
Hmm.
no stopping it. It is manifested, it is happening. The train is leaving the station. And I'm always curious. I think now that I'm a little older, hopefully a little wiser, especially now that I'm embarking on my 59th birthday, is that
Whoop, whoop.
there's there's um there's real wisdom in being curious. There's
Hmm.
real wisdom in going saying to yourself, wow, that's interesting that that's happening that way, or that these, my meetings are all planned, obviously days ahead. And then there's always a chance that the entire day can just be scrapped and everything is moving around and changing. And instead of getting, and I guess this comes from being in hospitality, we talked about that before, about when things shift and they don't go the exact way you planned. I'm so used to that, having to pivot. I'm so used to having to readjust in the moment, that I think it's given me, I think it's a superpower that some people have, of being able to say, okay, not here, but over here. Okay. You're just sort of not chasing the energy, but just following it, like letting it lead you in a way that seems like you're not intentional, but actually there's intentionality in that. Being able to just say, okay, I'm not going right, I'm going left or straight or whatever in my day.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
kind of
that.
just trust in the journey, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
and not
Trust.
trying to
Fight
make
it. You're not
logic.
fighting it. Yeah.
Like logic would trip us up and keep us from so
Oof.
much yum and magic and beauty and wonder in the world because we're so busy trying to reason with it. And some things we may never know the reason for.
Yeah.
And other things we get to make up something, but do we really know if that was true?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just can't make sense of some things, and that's when you just leave it to, okay, this was just not sure exactly why this is happening, but it's happening this way, and I'm just going to go with it. And I'm just going to follow
Yeah.
that energy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of curiosity, it reminds me of a conversation I was having with someone about a week and a half ago, and we were talking about like small talk
Mm,
or network or things like that. And so they were saying they don't see themselves as being good at small talk. And and then I never realized it before that moment when we were having a conversation. But what I shared with them, and I said, for me, the reason small talk comes easy is because it's coming from a natural curiosity, like curious place. So I don't just randomly talk to someone just for the sake of talking.
hmm.
So like I don't enjoy networking events. I don't like the word networking because of what it just feels
Yeah,
it feels inauthentic.
yeah,
Though,
forced.
hi, what do you do? I just don't. I really don't. I cringe. And so however, nor do I go to a networking event planning to meet everyone there or grab everyone's business cards or any of those things. But I'm just saying in general, even if it's not a quote unquote
Yeah,
networking event, being out, the conversations that I'm having, if I initiate the conversation, it's actually a real question. Like it's something I'm really curious about. If I compliment you on something you're wearing, I genuinely like it, or I say
right,
nothing. If
right.
all of those things. And during the conversation with whatever you say, I'm curious about another thing or the next piece. And that's where it goes. But I don't just make up things or have
Yeah,
small talk for the sake of, so how's the weather been treating you? So how's it like?
right, exactly.
Not unless I really want to know. Like maybe I really do want to know how's your summer been so far. Then
Yeah.
and I think that's the part that feels natural because the curiosity is actually real.
Well, and that's the word, right? Natural. I think one of the things, in my journey and working for the group that I'm with is that I have the opportunity to talk to and relate to people on a daily basis. And a lot of times they're perfect strangers, but uh I can safely say if I were to say if you were to ask me what are one of my superpowers, I think it's being able to sit down with a perfect stranger and immediately find something that feels familiar, even if that person doesn't look anything like me, isn't we don't have anything in common necessarily. But it's very rare that I can, can't sit down and talk to anyone and find some common ground in a way, like you said, that is natural and authentic, and is not about small talk. Unless I mean, sometimes the best conversations might begin with some small talk, but um, I think some people have the ability to kind of cut through the niceties and get straight to it in a way that feels refreshing to people. And I think you have that too, which I love.
Yeah. You know what's interesting though? The place that I really have the least amount of conversations is on the plane.
Isn't that funny? Because most people, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
like
not always
some people
it's funny. I'm
actually
not always in the
love
mood to
sitting.
talk to anybody on the plane.
Yeah, I just want to read or nap or watch a movie or listen to something. I rarely want to talk when I'm
Same.
on the plane.
It
Yeah.
it has to be
Okay,
very
so you
I've met people on the plane, I will say that. But it usually takes a mutual sort of feeling or energy exchange to say uh that my curiosity is piqued and I want to know more, or they want to know more about me.
yeah. Yeah, like I've met people on the plane too. But again, it's not every time and it's random and sometimes it's just a few moments about a specific something that occurred and maybe I noticed their facial expression or something like that and it may go from there. Here's a funny story. I won't name names. So one time I did meet someone on the plane and they happened to be I'm doing air quotes for those who listen, a celebrity, but it was someone who was new. Um, I didn't know who they were, right? And the reason it's funny is because they gave me, you know how you have those photos that people sign?
Yeah.
Like they autograph a photo of themselves. I
They
didn't
gave you one
ask
of
for
those?
it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Which was which was, I can't even remember how the conversation started because that's the funny part about it. Whereas
Oh my God,
afterwards,
that's
I ended
hilarious.
up like calling my daughter and my husband and my niece was like, "Have you ever heard of so and so?" And they were like, "Yeah, they have this." It was a new song they had out that was on the radio. But I just think that
Okay,
is the funniest story
that is
because I
hilarious.
didn't know who they were, but they offered me this,
You
and we
want
had
this,
this warm
ma'am. You
exchange.
want
Just
this.
I
That's hilarious.
don't even know where that is. We gave it away. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't wait for you to
that's
tell
just
me off
funny.
camera
So,
who that was.
and that person seems like they seem like a really, like genuinely sweet person. Like they weren't arrogant or any
Yeah,
of
no,
those
it
things.
sounds
It was just weird
really
to me that
authentic.
they
Yeah,
offered this.
that's what makes it funnier.
Yeah, it was just that was the part that was hilarious to me. So anyway. Oh, goodness. That's still giving me a chuckle because
I
I didn't
love
have
it.
the heart to say, I don't even know who you
I
are.
don't know who you are, but okay, I'll take this
I
photograph.
don't
That's
know.
so funny.
I don't know. So I just went with it and I learned more about them by asking more questions instead of saying, oh, that's who you are. You
Right,
know.
being
So it was
curious.
interesting. Yeah, I was on a flight coming. I was coming to visit that was when my well, you probably noticed that my husband and I started long distance, and so it was one of my trips to come to Chicago, to visit him and hang out.
Right.
So yeah, we took a kick out of that. Anyway,
That's awesome.
I am not going to keep you any longer. I always enjoy speaking
I
with
love
you.
our
I always
time.
Yeah, like again, we can talk about something or nothing in many nuances in between, and I enjoy every aspect of it. And
Me
so I'm just
too.
curious before we begin to wrap, is there anything that feels really alive for you right now that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think, I think as humans we tend to look to chronological time or milestone events to mark something. And I really feel good about, even though there have been some very big challenges in my life in the last couple of years, I feel like I'm closing a couple of chapters that needed to have sort of a period at the end of it with a great ending,
Mm,
and starting a new chapter. And I think, it's one thing to, like, I think we always talk, as humans, we talk about, oh, well, I'm embarking on this, my 30th birthday or my 40th birthday. And as I'm like sort of embarking on the last year in my 50s, I feel like, I always say to myself, finish strong, Herndon, like I happen to be doing. And I feel really good in these last couple of months, more specifically, personally, spiritually, from a career perspective. I feel really good about how I'm learning, how I'm growing, the more consciousness of the being comfortable with being uncomfortable, being more curious, um, and just taking up space in a way that is, I don't want to say unapologetic, but just in the understanding of, a friend of mine shared this Instagram post, and it was about the lifespan and the evolution of a lobster, and how a lobster through its lifespan sheds and regenerates its shell many, many times over. And I think I can liken that to growth. When things are uncomfortable and you no longer fit in the space that you were occupying before, that's where the uncomfortability comes, right? Like you no longer, feel good in the skin that you're in, and it's starting to feel like, if I could say or share with the listeners out there, when things start to feel like they don't fit anymore, that maybe that's the way, your soul's way of telling you that it's taking on a new shell. It's trying to get rid of this old dressing that no longer serves. And now I tend to see it coming a little bit faster, or actually see it coming versus it just happening and then sort of not knowing, like, sort of adolescence where you're like, I have all these feelings and I don't know what to do with them. It's coming more so with like okay, this is, having this consciousness, having language, um,
Yeah.
exploring therapy for the first time in the last year, and just noticing, how I relate to the world and the people in my life that are in it, in a way that is way more impactful than ever before. And just sitting in this life school, it's
Mm.
taking lots of notes and
Yeah, thank
finding
you for sharing
peace
that.
in
I
it.
didn't know. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, not at all.
I didn't know about a lobster shedding its shell, and I love what you said
I
about
didn't either. I
um
loved it.
your it doesn't if what you're experiencing doesn't feel like it fits anymore, that it may be your soul's way of letting you know that it's I can't read my own writing.
Neither can I.
I'll
My
just
my
say
handwriting is
that
horrendous
new
at this
shell.
age.
It's preparing for a new shell. Yeah, like at this, mm,
I'll send it to you. It's really good. I
okay.
definitely paraphrased and shortened it up, but it had several slides. But it was really
Mhm.
affirming, if you will, of how I'm feeling lately. That this, whatever people see or whatever I present or however I present in the world, there's a lot of work going on under the surface, a lot of
Yeah.
intentionality, but also a lot of unsureness and insecurity and all the things that I'm sure everybody feels on a daily basis, when they're just in their inner, and when they're in their head thinking about life. But I'm
Mhm.
excited to continue to explore that, with new language, and understanding of where all that comes from and where I'm going.
And I'm looking forward to witnessing this new version of you. And actually, we'll probably be mirroring each other at different points because what you share it really feels reflective of where I am these days. And yeah. And for those of you all who are listening, if you haven't already listened to the episode with Michelle Akins, go back and listen to that too, because one of the things that we talk about too is how, like, as it relates to age, how sometimes people are considered no longer relevant or like they don't
Yeah,
still have value, and that is so untrue.
so
And,
untrue.
and, you know, yeah, like that. It's kind of like this thing where, okay, you're over 50, so I I guess it's time for you to start sitting down and doing nothing
Yeah.
and, you know, check out your luxury wheelchair. I don't know, but that's just not the life that
No,
we
I'm
aspire.
running in the opposite direction, Melanie. I'm in the gym, I'm working out, I'm practicing yoga, I'm out walking, I'm moving my body. I'm leaning more into my health and wellness than I ever have, because I want to be
Yeah.
the spryest older person I can be. And this is an investment, our bodies are our temples, and it's important to, just as we take care, as I talk all the time about taking care of our home, taking care of this body that is our home is equally important. Otherwise, you can't enjoy
Absolutely.
any of it.
Yeah, yeah. Like my brother-in-law, I'm borrowing this term from him. He calls it vintage. Like now that we're vintage, it's to us
Oh, I could not
that are
agree
being.
more. I say we are vintage. Yes, absolutely.
So our
I love
brother-in-law,
that.
Kevin. But yeah, like taking care of our bodies, and we can start wherever we like. Some people have, like some of us have already been doing it. Some of us are becoming more and more intentional about it, but we don't get another one. Yes, we can
This
have
is it.
surgery, but it's still like it's still is molded into the body that we started with. And so taking care of that is incredibly important.
Yes.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I asked if it was something else there. Because you
Yeah.
just blessed me. You know. Well, you do know. That's just an expression. Yeah. It's something about these calls that I often feel like I often want to journal afterwards to take back my own reflections when I'm having these fireside chats with all of you amazing souls. And so I'm just really grateful that you stopped by today once
Oh,
again
thanks
and
for
graced us
having
with your presence
me.
and brought such good vibes. And
Thank you.
so, I believe that gratitude or appreciation and joy are partners. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about what you
Mm-hmm.
appreciate. So, what are you feeling appreciative of right now in this moment?
Ah, well, first and foremost, being on this podcast and just being in your presence and being able to share. I love your energy and I always have. So thank you. I'm appreciative of the breaks in this, being able to take a deep breath and feel relief. I love the word relief. I think there's times when um relief is really appreciated. And right now I'm in a relief space of I'm checking boxes that I need to check. I'm taking care of myself. I feel good. I know there's challenges along the way, but I'm so appreciative of being able to like sometimes hang in there. Sometimes that's all I've got. And then other times like today, I feel forward, positive, optimistic, strong. I feel good for those moments when everything's running on all cylinders and I'm figuring things out it's less painful, let's put it that way. And I'm surrendering to it. That feels good to me. And I'm
Mhm.
very appreciative of that. And I'm appreciative of all the listeners. And I hope that anyone listening is gleaning something really, really good and useful for their own life and their own journey.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Mm.
Pleasure.
And what are you've really alluded to many of them already, but what are some simple, practical ways that you choose joy? Um,
In the moment, I could just call out or say out loud, like, this day's really going great. I'm really grateful for this. I'm really loving how smooth this is. Uh, Not unlike what I've already shared, because I think that, that there are simple things, treating myself, and I do this almost daily, so I can't really say I'm treating myself, but cooking a great meal for myself. I think a lot of people fall into thinking that they have to have a purpose or reason other than themselves to celebrate something small like the day. It feels good to just be able to cook a nice meal for myself. I feel very comforted in that, because I know that I'm picking and choosing things that are good for me, that are going to make me feel good. And then in turn, I'm going to take that joy and share it with others. So that's my, little things like that make me so happy.
yeah. And you know what? With you approaching it from that space of love and appreciation as you cook your meal it tastes different too, right?
Oh,
Unlike the
absolutely.
meals I prepare, unlike the meals I prepare sometimes when it's like make something so that I can have something to eat. It is not, I am not necessarily in the most appreciative space at that point. I'm just like borderline hangry and it's like, what can I fix really quickly?
Hmm.
And so I don't enjoy it the same as when I consciously choose to be with what I'm
Yeah.
preparing. And,
No, I
and the
agree. And
same
I
thing with
think,
other people,
yeah, no,
right?
finish. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm finished. I'm saying the same as when other people taste it. They have a different experience when it's prepared because you're present with the meal. There's the level of intentionality
Hmm.
there. There is um, you know, spaciousness there, because they're like you're tending to it with tender loving care. And
Yeah,
so there's a different kind of, yeah. That's what soul food is,
absolutely.
when you cook
Yeah.
it
And I
from,
mean, that's why I'm in this
yeah.
business of hospitality because, we always say, the food can be okay, the service can be just fine, but if you're making people feel good, it's how you make people feel that makes a difference. Um, Boy, that person could walk away saying, "Gosh, that was the best meal I've had in a long time, or I've ever had." And 9 times out of 10, it's because of how people were made to feel during that experience. So I think we can turn that inward and do that to ourselves. We uh we be a happier people.
Absolutely. So how can people who may want to follow your journey and stay in touch with you, where can they find you?
You can find me at the Michelle Herndon on Instagram. That's usually where I
The
am. The Michelle Herndon. Yes. That's
the
it
Michelle Herndon on Instagram. All right.
on Instagram.
I'll make
Yeah.
sure I put the link to where to find you in the show notes. And once again, I am just deeply honored and grateful to have you here.
Hey,
Um,
mommy.
yeah, I just can't thank you enough, for the
Thank
exchanges that we've
you.
had over the years. And I know there's more to come.
Yes,
And so for our
absolutely.
listeners, thank you. Thank you. And for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of She Chose Joy. And your freedom lies within your decision to say yes to who you are, yes to what you want, and yes to what you stand for. So, will you stand for waking yourself up and waking your home up? Or putting yourself to rest and maybe putting your home to rest? And maybe if that doesn't feel right for you, just get curious about what does want to wake up within you, and
Mm.
also what's calling to be at rest. So until next time, be well. Don't forget to subscribe and share, and I'll see you on the next episode.